Hi, Phil Aston here from the Now Spinning group on Facebook and online on nowspinning.co.uk. This isn't so much a kind of album review, but a kind of pause for thought. We use that phrase now called all killer and no filler when we have like an album that really we fall in love with and we like every track on it. But if you're from a certain vintage, from the 70s and 80s and 90s, we simply bought albums and expected not to like every track. It was just the norm. You'd buy an album by your favourite band and you didn't presume that every track was going to be killer and no filler. You just thought, well, you'd almost describe albums as being great, even though there were some tracks you didn't like as much. And you can see where the streaming generation now think, why would you buy 12 tracks when you only want 3 of them? But when you were buying records back in the day, you kind of almost expected this. And I was thinking about this the other day because I picked out an album to play, which is this one, REO Speedwagon. And I thought, this is a great album. I really love this album. There's some brilliant tracks on it. But you know what? There's also some tracks on this that I can't stand. But I still class it as a brilliant album, even though there are tracks on it that I don't actually like. And all of us must have albums like this. And this album came out in 1980, REO Speedwagon Hi Infidelity, and you can see I've got the import sticker from Virgin Records. So this was, and it's still actually, although I've put it in a plastic sleeve here, it's actually still got the cellophane wrapper on it. But it cost me, I think, £7.50 in 1980, which, based on my wages at the time, was a colossal amount of money for an album. And I'd never heard one track of this when I bought it. It was in the Sounds heavy metal chart, which is a strange thing for it to be in, really, because it's hardly heavy metal. But anyway, it was. And it was in the import chart, and I thought, I've just got to get this. And so I went to Virgin, it was in the import racks, and it was £7.50, and I came home and put it on. And it starts with a great track, Don't Let Him Go, and then the single, Keep On Loving You. And that track, the vocals, the kind of the reverb on, in fact there's reverb on everything. There's reverb on the drums, there's reverb on the vocals, there's reverb on the guitars. I think they just poured it on, and it just sounds huge. And there's that little echo on the snare drum in the verses. The production was just fantastic. And then it leads straight into Follow My Heart, which is just absolutely brilliant. The choruses, the build up, the guitars. I was in a band at the time. We used to play this before we came on. It was just, I thought that track was absolutely incredible. And then next comes a track written by the guitarist responsible for the riffage and solos on Follow My Heart, called In Your Letter, which I can't stand. And it just sounds like some kind of pastiche doo-wop type stuff. And then Taken on the Run comes on, which is a great ballad, so we're back on course. And then side 2, once we get the other side of Tough Guys, which is okay, to me is just average. It's just average. But I still love the album. I still class it as a classic. Their other album, 9 Lives, which was prior to this, has got some great tracks on the Road Again, etc. Brilliant. But it's also got tracks on it that are okayish. So I wonder how many of you out there also have albums which you on first glance go, oh, it's classic, it's a brilliant album, but actually when you look at it and analyse it, it's actually, you don't like all the tracks. So anyway, I'm going to stick with this one. And so if you don't know what I'm talking about and you can't buy the vinyl, there was a 2 CD deluxe edition that came out a few years ago, not that long ago actually. And disc 1 is just the album, and disc 2 is actually what it classes as rough mixes. They're actually rockier than the actual album itself, so if you like REO Speedwagon when the guitars aren't reverb to death, this is really good. But it comes with a nice booklet with interviews with the band, but it's worth having. So here we have it then, REO Speedwagon, their classic album from 1980. It's a classic album, and I've said it again, but I don't like all the tracks on it. But at the time, you know, back in the day, how many albums did all of us buy where we'd say to our mates, brilliant album, but we didn't like all of the tracks, and it was just seen as the norm. Okay, see you soon. Thank you.